Thank you, Mr. Cartwright. We've heard from several witnesses as well that there is some infrastructure that should be properly funded by the government and other infrastructure that lends itself to the P3 model. We don't hear as much about the criteria that separate those two groups of projects. I'm wondering, based on your knowledge of projects that have been funded using both models, what is the criteria that tends to distinguish between these two groups of projects?
Well, the criteria is changing. And part of, I think, my view is that there's been a mission creep from the very crude, privatization things that were happening before Highway 407 and other things, which people just see as a complete outrage, to the original P3 model was design, build, finance. Design, build is only one way of doing construction as compared to our traditional, and there's pros and cons. But it's the creep of adding maintain and operation, which strips public accountability and public control. People can't find out what are the facts on these projects they move forward. People are unable to find out and hold politicians accountable. But for the finance houses, for the big people that run consultancies, whether it's direct accounting firms or others, or the law firms that I mentioned, this is a bonanza. This is a bonanza in terms of return on investment. And there was a study done in Europe some years ago that looked at how manufacturing was no longer a big return on investment, and land at that point wasn't, and looked at public services as the next place for global finance to focus on privatizing public services through public-private partnerships.
Thank you, Mr. Cartwright. Perhaps I'll turn to Ms. McKenna. Ms. McKenna, welcome back to the committee. I'm sure you missed this very